Got him. That's a good fish too. Little Whopper plopper bass. That wasn't a bad fish right there that came up and nailed that bait. Oh, look, look, look. Oh, yeah. Oh, he's not a giant, but he's a fun fish, and that's what's out there eating them shad right now. Come on. Oh, well, so much for that. Today, folks, we're at Canyon Lake, and just made it here, and we're watching a few fish kind of hit the surface, and it's fun to chase these fish around sometimes with a topwater. And today I'll have to try this new, well, it's not new, it's been out a while, but it's a little Whopper plopper junior. Makes a cool little noise when it comes across the top of the water. And rather than throw a big buzz bait out there or something to bring it across some of those schools, I thought it'd be fun just to bring this across and see what it does. And that was my first cast out there, and managed to get hooked up right there with a bass, but lost him right there. But it was probably about a 1.5 pound fish. And you'll have a lot of those this time of year, going into the fall like this. The water temperature's cooling down, the fish are all over the place, and a lot of times it's just fun chasing the little bulls that you see here and there, seeing if you can't catch a few of these fish. And you know, little tiny topwaters like the Rico, something like this is a lot of fun to throw in those. If you can find something that you can really bomb out there and get way out there and catch those fish, make those long casts and follow them out, you can have a lot of fun with this. Now, in saying that, you could come across a spoon bite. A lot of times you can throw a little crocodile spoon that flutters down and throw it out there when they bust and just let it fall down, and they'll hit it sometimes. But I wanted to see if we can catch a couple of topwater fish doing that. There's not a whole lot of action, but I thought, well, if they're gonna jump out there a little bit, let's see if we can't catch a few. But that was our first cast, and with this little bait, see what we can't do with it. And you know, we're going to see what we can't do to catch fish today, obviously, but that's fun. Always fun, what I call chasing the bass. I'll tell you what, it's a lot of fun. Get off the bank a little bit, you know, you're out here in 100 foot of water, and these fish are just chasing them shad, you know, feeding up. See what we can't do, see if we can't catch a few right here at Canyon Lake. This bait is really cool in the water, though. Check this out. I'll throw it out there. It makes a little gurgle sound as it comes across the top of the water. You can just reel this across the water like a little buzz bait, just like so, or you can take and throw it out there and you can chug it a little bit, and it'll make a little spray, you know, and dive a little bit like a shad trying to run from a bass. So, I mean, there's different retrieves you can use with this. You don't have to just reel it in on top of the water like this. You can chug it, like I said, and chug it in, chug it in, chug it in. But you notice every time I chug it, how the bait wants to dive under a little bit. And that makes it look like it's trying to run from the fish. So anyways, we'll play around a little bit, see if we can't get bit, and maybe we'll catch a big one here today too. I love this lake for big fish, but like I said, we'll have to play around a little bit today. It's slick water. You can see there's no wind. And when you have no wind, it makes it tough conditions for trying any real reaction baits. We might have to go to worms, or maybe we'll find a good spoon bite, but we'll check it out today. They're not coming up for that top water. All right. Oh, they're right here. They're right here. And they're bass too. Golly, come on. Oh. Got him. He's not a big one, but we got him. Had to throw that swim bait out there to get that little dude. You're seeing him bust, but we're hiding behind the mountain where it's cloudy, for sure. He's not a big fish, but a fun fish for sure on that little swim bait. Look at that. You know, sometimes when you can't get them to come up for that topwater, you got to have something else loaded, and they're jumping right there. Let's see if I can get back out there. This isn't a big school. You'll have different schools come in front of you. So I've got a real small bait here. Ah, there's another one. That's what I'm talking about, son. They're not big fish, but they're fun fish, you know? You know, they're in there bailing on those those shad. Look, he's just a little guy. But the thing is when you're watching all this happen, you can tell the big schools from the little schools. And they're jumping right there. I like to have, they're still there. Let's see if I can get back out there. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, come on, Johnny. Boy, that's the only problem with these little swim baits. You gotta repair them and get them back out there. See if we can do it. He's chasing a little shad up there. Did you see that? Watch this. Watch this. I'll get 2 cranks to the reel. Boom! Oh! 2 cranks of the reel and he was right there. Let's try it again. These are little guys. They're fun though. Yeah, he was chasing them shad, but it'll eventually wear the bait out. But you know, I'm throwing that little guy just like that on a little 2-aught or a 3-aught. You can get a wide gap hook, tie it direct. Now what I'm throwing is I've got this, on this particular rig, I'm throwing a 710. I had this rod specially designed for this bait. I wanted a long rod where I can get a long cast if I have to with these little baits, because I like to throw the little storm swim bait too, and I got a couple of little different ones I like to throw. This one's made by Reaction Innovations, the Little Dipper. It's a good bait, but you know, and a lot of times what I'll do is I'll tie this on, and it's weightless, so you know, that's how I want it, because I'm bringing it across the surface like that lone shad that's running up there. The fish just come up and blast it. But it's an awesome bait, and it's a good little 1-2 punch too. Like I said, if you're not getting them on the top water, a lot of times they'll follow this bait just barely under the surface. So you'll have 2 of those you can work with. I can throw that top water obviously a lot farther, but I can get this out there pretty far too. And I'm gonna throw it on braid. I use 15-pound braid line with a fluorocarbon leader. Now you can throw, I like a 10-pound fluorocarbon leader. We used to use 8, I still use 8. But you can go from 8 to 12-pound, probably pretty safe with this rig as far as your fluorocarbon leader goes, and you'll be fine. So that's basically the rig. And medium action rod, you know, and like I said, the longer the rod you have, the farther you can cast it. It makes it much easier. So we just happen to be right there where they wanted to boil up on them shad. And that's the thing, is see, right now they're feeding up, they're going all through, and you'll have certain schools you'll hit where you'll have little ones, and then all of a sudden it's almost like they keep to their age group. So it's really important to be sure that you know, have the different baits lined up. Have a smaller bait if you can get in there and catch the smaller ones, because they're still a lot of fun. You know, it's fun action. And at Canyon Lake here, you'll go through, like that first fish that we caught, you know, on the top water, that was a decent sized fish. That was a bigger school. So, you know, I take them both. I'll use them both for sure. In the meantime, I'll turn around and wait for some more action. That was fun. They were really boiling up right there. Okay, today I've downsized a little bit because I think we've got a front blowing through, the wind's starting to blow through, the temperatures are coming down, and the fish are actually getting kind of sparse on the boils right now. But we managed to catch some fish. But I want to show you the difference in the baits that these guys make and the sizes, and why I'm throwing the little ones. You know, this is the little dipper here. That's the skinny dipper. You can see the difference in size. You can throw, if you go to the skinny dipper, something bigger than the little 3-inch, then you're gonna wanna throw it on a bait caster. You know, so you wanna make sure that if you go to this, you put a bigger hook on it. You're gonna use probably a 4-aught hook, 5-aught hook, and you're gonna wanna throw that on a bait caster. The reason why I'm going with the small bait like this is because it more or less matches the hatch right now. With them being so finicky, even though you're seeing the boils and things like that, it seems like the bigger baits I can't seem to get bit on, so I went to the smaller ones. Same thing with the Whopper plopper. This is the actual size of the Whopper plopper here. Okay, it's a big bait. And then you also have the little one that I'm throwing. Okay, I'm just, again, trying to match the hatch a little bit. I want to make a little noise. So it just depends on your area and what you're fishing. There's times when you do want to go to the big ones, and there's times you want to go to the little ones. And I go more finesse style and little when they're just really not biting very well, but you still want to catch some fish doing that and kind of match the hatch. So, you know, if I want to make some ruckus, if I'm just going down the bank looking for onesies or twosies or something like that, a lot of times I'll go to the bigger baits, you know. So something to think about when you're out there throwing. You got a couple of different sizes you can get. I suggest that you get both sizes because you'll need them. So, but that's the basic setup for me today, is going with the little guys. Hey folks, for my tip of the week, I think one thing that's really important to do when you're doing this kind of fishing and you're just kind of spot fishing looking for these little blow-ups, it's a lot of fun, but when there's nothing going on like this, don't be afraid to fan cast the area and keep casting, because a lot of times you'll just happen over something happen underneath you and they'll blow right up on it. And so just chasing the boils is fun. But if nothing's happening and kind of slows down a little bit, don't be afraid to fan cast, because there's been a lot of times I've caught some nice fish just fan casting out in open water. And because they're chasing shad back and forth doesn't mean they're totally jumping out of the water right there. They could be right under the surface. So don't be afraid to fan cast, because you'll catch some fish doing that too. That's my tip of the week. Got him. Little bass right there, but we got him. Came up and ate that bait. Just running around looking for a reaction fish. Got you, bud. Got you. Come here. There we go. Another one on that bait. And I'll tell you what, I decided I'll start paralleling on the bank a little bit. Maybe I can catch a couple off it. Nothing big. Look how fat and chunky that fish is. Look at the belly on it. They're feeding up. They're feeding up. You know, the bite's really tough right now. But that little Whopper Plopper Jr., what I'm doing though is I was throwing out at the fish that were busting a little bit, and I thought, well, if they'll bite, maybe I can move in on the bank a little bit and see if I can catch some fish off the bank and see what happens. Make some long casts and parallel that bank. Sometimes you can get them to come up and eat that bait. It's called covering lots of water, if you love the topwater bite, and moving yourself down the bank, and hope you can find some fish that are active. You know, get some of those active fish that are up there shallow. There's always shallow fish, but sometimes you might have to cover a lot of water to get it done, you know? And that's the deal with this kind of bite, you know? You end up having to really take and cast a lot of cast and just move down the bank. Put your trolling motor on medium speed or something and head down the bank. See if you can get a couple active fish going. And that's what we'll do, you know, kind of go down the bank, see what's going on. The bite's tough. Talk to a few of the guys, they're having a tough time. A lot of bass boats are pulling out already, you know. We're just gonna keep going down and we're gonna figure something out, whether it's right or wrong, and see if we can't catch a few more of these topwater fish. Sometimes they get stubborn, but I can get stubborn too. You know, this bait I'm throwing it on 14-pound test. It's a smaller bait, not the size of that Rio Rico, but I'm throwing it on 14-pound test monofilament again, you know, with a medium action taipan rod and a high-speed reel. And that's what I'm throwing right there. And you're tying direct to a bait like this. Now, let me tell you something. So many people like to throw them swivels, and I understand it's a lot easier to put a swivel on and change your baits out. But a lot of these kind of baits like this won't run right. If you're putting a swivel, tie direct. It's a lot better, you know, with your spinner baits, your crankbaits, some of your topwaters. You just have to tie direct and take the time to tie the knot right, and you'll do okay. But tying the swivel on, if you find yourself not catching them doing that, it's a lot of times because your bait's turning or rolling, or You know, you need the bait to work right, and a lot of times for it to work right, you do have to tie direct. I use a Palomar knot. What we're doing is we're finding fish that are, in all honesty, probably looking for shad or chasing shad around in the shallows, and it's real spotty, you know. This is that time of the year that I've always said that they're here today, gone tomorrow. You go to your favorite spots and they're not there because they're busy chasing these shad around. And you need to just keep moving down the bank till you find them. Sometimes you run into a school of them and you end up catching them. That fish came right out and nailed that bait. Maybe I'll get another one on this little thing. This little gizmo is pretty cool. These fish aren't used to seeing this every day. Well, I'll tell you what, it's been an amazing day. I can't believe we didn't get any big fish to the boat. I had one decent hit, but that's fishing. That's why they call it fishing and not catching. You're gonna have days like that, but we came out, caught a few, and I think, you know, with this wind blowing through and the temperature's really dropping, it's actually kind of chilly. So, crazy as it sounds down here, but we had a lot of fun. And you know, even though we didn't show you what Canyon has to offer, we've been here before where you've seen some giant bass. We've caught them during the spring, we've caught them, you know, on the same baits during the summer. And remember this time of year that, you know, the fish are gonna really be feeding up on the shad. So you gotta constantly keep moving, and if you find those big boils, be ready to catch them and you'll have a blast. I'll tell you, sometimes you can get 2 or 3 fish out of one boil. It's a lot of fun. And we showed that today with a smaller group of fish, but I had a good time on this lake. You know, I always like coming down here. We'll see what happens next time, but I'll tell you what, that's fishing for us, I guess. Thanks for joining us on the show. We'll see you next week. I'm Johnny Johnson.
Now, see, that's what I'm talking about, folks.